so we are going to do the definition of expression. Who knows what an expression is? So it's kind of like an equation, but it does not have a what? Who can tell me? No, it can have an x. It doesn't have an equal sign. Okay, so it's kind of like an equation with no equal sign. So for example, 3x squared plus 4x minus 5 is an expression because there's no equal. So can you solve an expression? No, you can't solve anything without an equal sign, but you can simplify an expression. Okay, it's made up of terms. Expressions are made up of terms. So in this example, I want you to know that terms are separated by plus and minus. So if I'm looking at that expression up here, and I separate at a plus and a minus, how many terms does it have? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so knowing that, we're also going to look at the definition of a variable. Hopefully y'all know this one. Who can tell me what a variable is? Don't make it hard. I heard somebody say something. It's your letters. Yeah, exactly right. It's your letters. Usually what do we use? X, but it could be any letter in the alphabet. And I want you to understand that it represents an unknown. It represents an unknown number. One more definition, I promise. Variable and a coefficient. Who remembers what a coefficient is? It's the number in front of the variables. So if I give you an example like 3x, your coefficient is 3, and your x is the variable. Does that make sense? Any questions with those definitions? Okay, I'm going to leave them up there for a second. So I'm going to start talking while y'all are still writing. I want you to think about, what does it mean to be a like term? So remember, to combine things when we're adding or subtracting, they have to be like terms, correct? Okay, so what makes terms alike? Not the same number, the same variables. Okay, same variables and same exponents. Okay, so to be like terms, you have to have the same variables and exponents. So 6x squared and 7x, do these have the same variable and exponents? No, therefore they are unalike. Therefore we could not combine them. What about 19xy and 30xy? Those are alike. So if there was a plus or a minus in the middle, we could combine those. What about 13xy squared and negative 7x squared y? Unlike. Okay, the variables are not the same. The variables are the same, but the exponents on the variables are not the same. Okay, any questions with that? Okay. So next we're going to actually simplify a couple of simple ones, and then we'll move on to kind of what more we're practicing, okay? So simplify each expression by combining like terms. What's 6x squared plus 7x squared? What about 19x cubed y to the fourth minus 30x cubed y to the fourth? So I know y'all don't have a calculator right now because I need to put them in Ziploc bags. But 19 minus 30 is what? Negative 11. You're not the first one. Just because you're thinking minus 10. Or not 10, but like 9, not 19. Okay, and then C, it says 13xy squared minus 7x squared y. Can you even combine those? No, so guess what? The simplest you can get it is what it already is. That's your answer, because you cannot combine terms that are not alike when it comes to adding or subtracting. Can you multiply terms that are not alike? Yes. You can't, because this is xy squared and this is x squared y. They're not alike, yeah. Okay, who remembers PEMDAS? Yes? Hopefully everybody. PEMDAS, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So we have PEMDAS. I've heard that they use like a different one now too. I don't know. I'm old school. Stick with the PEMDAS. Okay. So first things first, parentheses. Can I simplify what's inside my parentheses here? 2x and 1. Can I simplify 2x plus 1? Yes. Not yet. Hold on. You're going too far. Just inside the parentheses. No. So I can ignore my parentheses for right now. Are there any exponents? No. Now, multiply. What were you saying? You're going to distribute. Okay? You're going to distribute to everything inside the parentheses. So will you distribute it to this negative 8? No, because it is not inside the parentheses. So 4 times 2x is what? And 4 times 1 is? Then I'm going to bring down my minus 8. Now what can I combine? What are my like terms? Positive 4 and negative 8. So if you notice when I circle like terms, I will always include, unless I forget, but I try to always include the symbol in front. Why do you think that's important? Well, not even multiply, but it's just telling you if you're adding or subtracting. Like when it comes to like terms, you want to do positive 4 minus 8. Okay? So what is 4 minus 8? There's your answer. Okay? So I'm going to have you try one. Don't forget to do PEMDAS because it takes me forever to take roll, just so y'all know. Are your other teachers taking forever to take roll? Oh, I'm a slacker. I did it kind of fast. So what are we going to do first on this one? I've had a couple people mess this one up. No. We're going to multiply by 3 first because parentheses, exponents multiply and divide before we add or subtract. So we have to distribute our 3 first. So we get 8 plus 9x minus 12. And then what are our like terms? 8 and negative 12. So we get 9x. And what's 8 minus 12? It's negative 12.
Oh, negative 4.
Yeah. Okay, so let's look at this one. What do you notice is different? Phone's away. What's different? it has brackets, but do we treat brackets any differently?
Bracket and parentheses.
Yeah, so we're not going to treat the brackets any different.
Oh.
So they are, that is the difference, that there's brackets, but we're going to treat them the same. Okay, but when you have multiple, you're going to work your inside out. Okay, we don't want to start out here because we haven't simplified in here yet. Does that make sense? You want to get rid of this inside parentheses before you start trying to do anything out here. Okay, so looking here, what are we going to do to get rid of that parentheses? Distribute the negative. So we get 5 minus 3 plus x. So the parentheses is gone. I'm going to bring down my 6 minus. Now, can we combine anything inside my brackets? The 5 and 3. So what's 5 minus 3? And what are we going to do now? Distribute the negative. So 6 minus 2 minus x. What can we combine? Which gives us? Now, if I wanted to write this in proper form, that means my variable comes first. What would that look like? Well, I mean, yeah, but we're not going to do all that yet. But just putting it in order. The x stays negative, and the 4 stays positive. Any questions with that one? Okay, so now we're going to look at phrases, and we're going to turn those phrases into expressions. Okay, so knowing that, it says, write each phrase as an algebraic expression and simplify if possible. Let x represent the unknown number. So A says twice a number plus 9. So this one's pretty simple. What's twice a number? 2x. And what is plus 9? Plus 9, right? That one's pretty much says exactly what you should write. So 2x plus 9 is my answer there. But they can get a little different. So one note I want you to write down. There's a couple things that I do want you to write down. You don't have to write all this. But if you see the word sum or difference, that means it's going to be in parentheses. Sum is plus, difference is minus, but it's going to be inside parentheses. Okay, so it says 7 times. Well, okay, here's another thing I want you to be careful with is don't use x for multiplication. You're going to use a dot. Okay? 7 times the sum, so that means parentheses with a plus in the middle, of a number, we don't know that number, and 2. So we get 7 times x plus 2. And if we were to simplify that, what would we get?
7x plus 14.
Yes. So now this one is...
Dennis, you just,
Yep.
you just write these in a notebook?
Yes.
And, what's it called? It says it's supposed to turn in a worksheet. So, what do you do about that?
We're going to get to the worksheet here in just a minute. Is that what you're asking?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're still on notes.
Yeah, I was making sure.
Yep.
Okay, I was making sure like I wasn't missing anything.
No, you're not missing anything. Okay, so this one says the difference of a number and 5 subtracted from 6 times that number. This is where they kind of get to be a lot. If you're like me, I have to break it up one piece at a time and probably read it like 5 times. Okay, so it says difference, which means what? We're going to use parentheses and subtract, right? So I'm going to have parentheses, and I'm subtracting a number and 5. So a number, we don't know that number, and we know 5. So then it says subtracted from is the key word here. Anytime you see the word from, whatever's behind it goes in the front. Because if I'm going to take money from you, don't you have to have that money first? Okay, if you're going to take something from something, it has to be there already. So from 6 times that number, well, 6 times that unknown number. And what are we doing? Subtracting this. Okay, so anytime you see the word from, whatever's after from goes to the front. So then can we simplify this? What do I need to distribute? So that would be minus x. 2 negatives makes a positive 5. Okay, and what can I combine? And what does that give me?
5x.
Yes, Jose, I am. Okay. This next one, I'm actually not going to solve it with you, but I'm going to just set it up as a reminder. I'm trying to give y'all more time to practice, less time to listen to me. So subtract 4x minus 7 from 12 plus x. Sorry, read that wrong. What's the magic word that's up there? From. So anything after from needs to go to the front. So 12 plus x. It says subtract all of this. So now does it look kind of like the one we just did? And you would simplify from there. Does that make sense? So that word from means it has to go to the front. So last but not least, we're going to do this crazy one. Now I'm going to tell you that this is number 10 on your worksheet. So instead of trying to put this in notes, why don't you just flip to number 10 on your first worksheet? See how it's the same? I've had like 4 people today not pay attention and then get to that problem and be like, I don't know how to do it. I'm like, oh really? We did it together. Okay. What do you think we should do first? I want your opinions.
Multiply either 1/3 or 1/6.
Yeah, we're going to multiply.
To the parentheses.
Yes.
Normal parentheses.
So do y'all remember how to multiply fractions? Top multiplies across, bottom multiplies across, okay? So technically there is no bottom here, but they're whole numbers, so that just means they're over 1, correct? So 1/3 times 7y, well 1 times 7y is just 7y. 3 times 1 is 3. 1 times -1 is -1. 3 times 1 is 3. Goodness. Everybody okay so far? Okay, so then 1/6 times 4y, I did that too. Okay, 1 times 4y is positive 4y. 6 times 1 is 6. 1 times 7 is 7 over 6 times 1 is 6. Now, don't take this as a trick question, but it kind of has thrown people off today. What are my like terms?
Just the denominators.
No. What makes a like term? We talked about this earlier. The variables. So what are my like terms? 7y over 3 and 4y over 6, and then -1/3 and positive 7/6 are like terms. because they have no variable. Does that make sense? Can I combine either of these right away? No. So let's just focus on our boxes first. Can I simplify 4 over 6 to match, to have the same denominator? Yeah, how do you make a 6 turn into a 3? In half, right? So if I cut this both in half, I end up getting 2/3 y. So I'm going to rewrite it just so we don't totally throw ourselves off. 7y over 3 plus 2/3 y. And when I combine those, what do I get? You just add across the top. 7 plus 2 is, you're right. You skipped a step though. What's 7 plus 2? 9y over 3, which he was saying simplifies to what?
1/3.
No. Bigger numbers on top, so it's 3y. Okay, now I'm going to do the other portion of this. I have negative 1/3 and 7/6. Can I simplify 7/6? No. So what would I do to this 1/3? What? Multiply. We're going to double the top and the bottom. So this will give me negative 2 over 6. So I get negative 2 over 6 plus 7 over 6. What does that give me?
9 over 6.
No, negative 2.
5.
Positive 5 over 6, which does not simplify. So there's my answer. Okay, so